Assalamu alaikum viewers, please like, share and subscribe this channel. Links of PDF files used in this video are given in description. So today's lecture is about composition of atmosphere, and this is the third lecture of the atmosphere related lecture series. The literal meaning of composition is ingredients or constituents of something. In other words, it is a manner by which something is made up of. When we apply the same meaning with atmosphere, it signifies the items or the elements with which our atmosphere is composed. So our atmosphere is actually composed of numerous gases and various types of substances. Hence, it is a mechanical mixture of gases, water vapor and dust particles. The four major gases that are present in our atmosphere, they are like, for example, nitrogen, then oxygen, and the remaining 1% is actually a mixture of argon, carbon dioxide, water vapors and other gases. The comparison of different atmospheric gases by their volume has been described in this diagram. So this is the overall mixture of atmospheric gases, and if we zoom in this, so we are seeing here that the biggest portion is of nitrogen, which is 78%. Then there is the portion of oxygen, which is 20.9%. Then there is argon, which is 0.934%. Now this whole structure is made up of this unit cube, and this unit cube is equal to the concentration of carbon dioxide, which is 0.04%. If we divide this smaller cube into further smaller units like this, so this whole mixture constitutes different layers of this cube, and the other gases include methane, neon, helium, krypton, hydrogen and xenon. So this diagram compares the different atmospheric gases volumes that constitute the overall atmosphere of our Earth. When the Earth was found 4.6 billion years ago, Earth's atmosphere was mostly hydrogen and helium compounds, along with some portion of ammonia and methane gas. So these gases were eventually escaped to the space from the Earth's surface, and the release of gases from the rocks through volcanic eruptions, this process is also called as outgassing. So this outgassing was the principal source of atmospheric gases. The primeval atmosphere produced by the outgassing was mostly carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, nitrogen and then water vapors. So in this way, before the photosynthesis era of the atmosphere was containing gases like hydrogen, nitrogen, carbon monoxide, water vapors, methane, carbon dioxide and ammonia, and we can safely call as that the early atmosphere of Earth was weakly reducing atmosphere. So this table summarizes the atmospheric gases into three major groups. First group is the major gases, which include nitrogen, oxygen, argon and carbon dioxide, and here we have summarized their volume percent of the dry air. Then the second group, which includes minor gases, which are methane, neon, helium, krypton, hydrogen, xenon and ozone. And the third group is the variable gases, which are like including water vapor, dust particles and aerosols. Apart from that, some gases like carbon dioxide, methane and ozone, these are also variable in amount. So in this way, we divide the major atmospheric gases into three groups. Nitrogen is the most abundant gas which is found in atmosphere and constitutes about 78.084% to the total volume of the dry gas. This is almost chemically inactive and have nothing to do with any sort of chemical reactions in the atmosphere. It does not combine freely with other elements, hence it is termed as neutral substance. This gas is found beyond a height of 100 km, but its concentration is below 50 km height from the sea level. This gas is significant for the growth and reproduction in plants and animals, and certain bacteria in the soil are capable of converting a very small amount of atmospheric nitrogen into nitrates and fix it into the soils. So the process by which certain bacteria are capable of converting a very small amount of atmospheric nitrogen into nitrates and fix it to the soils and water bodies is called as nitrogen fixation process. The nitrogen fixed in the Earth's surface is again converted and sent back to the atmosphere by bacterial action through a chemical reaction which is called as denitrification. For example, here we are seeing that the atmospheric inert nitrogen gas is present. There are certain bacteria in the soil and roots of the legume plants, and these in the first step convert this nitrogen into ammonia. In the second step, this ammonium is then further converted into the nitrites and nitrate compounds by the soil bacteria. So it means the nitrogen fixation process includes two steps. In the first step, ammonium ion is formed, and in the second step of nitrification, this ammonium is further converted into nitrites and nitrates. Then there is a third step of denitrification in which these nitrites and these nitrates are again back converted into the atmosphere. So this is the nitrogen cycle, and the process of converting nitrites and nitrates back into the inert atmospheric nitrogen is called denitrification. Oxygen is the second largest group of atmospheric constituent present, and it is about 20.94% of the total dry atmospheric gases. It is very essential for the survival of many of the living organisms of this planet. It is chemically very reactive gas. It is combined with several other elements and forms varied compounds. Oxygen is vital for the combustion of fuels. When anything burns, oxygen is consumed and helps in burning that substance. Through oxygen is beyond 100 kilometers, but it is reasonably in good proportion within 16 kilometers of the height. With increasing height, the amount of oxygen decreases rapidly. On mountain slopes, the available oxygen for breath is very scanty, and the mountaineers are supposed to carry oxygen for them in order to survive at this height. Now the question arises, where did oxygen come from? So photosynthesis process was the primary source to increase the amount of oxygen in the atmosphere. Primitive form of life in oceans began to produce oxygen through photosynthesis probably 2.5 billion years ago. With the concurrent decline of carbon dioxide, oxygen became the second most abundant atmospheric gas after nitrogen. So because nitrogen was not so much reactive, so its concentration was very high, and after then the carbon dioxide was going to be converted into oxygen in the presence of water and sunlight. So continuously the concentration of carbon dioxide was decreasing, and whereas the concentration of oxygen was increasing. So this was happened about 2.5 billion years ago. So this diagram explains that sunlight, which is penetrating the surface ocean, causes the photosynthesis by various microscopic plants. As they die, their nutrient bearing the organic tissue, for example this organic tissue, these descends to the seafloor, and then oxidation of this tissue at depth returns nutrients and inorganic carbon to the surface of the ocean in regions of upwelling. So in this way, here a cycle is developed in which first the carbon dioxide is fixed into the organic matter and oxygen is produced as a byproduct, and when this nutrient dwelling species is then decomposed, then it is further oxidized to produce carbon dioxide and water. In terms of percentage, argon gas is the third largest gas in the atmosphere, and it constitutes about 0.934% of the total dry atmosphere. It is an inert gas and chemically it is inactive. It is found in the earth crust and sea water, and it is used in electrical bulbs and fluorescent lights. So the radioactive decay in the planet's bedrock added argon to the evolving atmosphere. Argon becomes the third most abundant gas in the atmosphere because it is not so much very reactive, and due to that its inert nature, it is found as the third major constituent of the Earth's atmosphere. Carbon dioxide is the fourth most abundant gas of the atmosphere. It is the densest gas and found in lower parts of the atmosphere. It is found up to the height of 30 km, and it is concentrated in the lower strata. Its percentage is very low, like about 0.04%, but it is most vital for the growth of vegetative life of the biosphere. It is transparent to the incoming solar radiation but does not allow to escape the same, and hence it is also called as a greenhouse gas. It plays a very crucial role in increasing the global temperatures. Chemical weather is the primary process to remove the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. In this process, carbon dioxide dissolves with rainwater to form the carbonic acid. This is a weak acid and it reacts with the bedrock, which is actually containing the calcium or magnesium silicates. So actually this carbonic acid react with the silicates present in the bedrock, and this process is also called as land weathering, and then converts this silicate into calcium carbonate and magnesium carbonates, and ultimately these carbonates are fixed in the shells of ocean plankton. So in this biogeochemical process, the atmospheric carbon dioxide is reduced and ultimately locked in the form of carbon in rocks and minerals in the bottom of the ocean. Carbon dioxide is also placed in the variable group of gases as its amount is dependent upon the combustion and human activities and vegetative cover of the planet. The carbon dioxide reaching the atmosphere due to various human activities, for example, like the energy supply, and then utilization in transport, and then there is the emission from industry and residential activities and agriculture activities, then it is produced from the waste water, and then it is produced from the forestry as byproduct of the photosynthesis and respiration processes. Carbon dioxide gas is on the rise with the advancement in economic development of the society. Economically developed countries and regions are generating big amount of carbon dioxide gases, and this can be explained in this figure. If we see here, there is the emissions in million metric tons, and with every progressing year we are seeing that in Europe there is not so much increase in concentration due to the strict environmental regulations. However, in Asia, United States, Canada, Latin America, Africa, Australia, the carbon dioxide concentration is on rise with every passage of year. Here is another slide which is describing that with the average passage of year, like from 1955 to 2005, there is a rise in the concentration of carbon dioxide. Here in terms, in place of emissions in metric tons, we have measured the carbon dioxide in ppm concentration, and we are seeing there that the concentration is increasing with every year. However, this increase is accompanied by a regular rise and dip of the carbon dioxide concentration. So, a periodic increase and decrease is due to the factor of photosynthesis in plants. So, the early rise occurs in the early spring season, and this is the period when there is slow growth of the plant leaves. So, when there is slow growth, for example, in the start of winter season, there is less growth of plant leaves, there is less photosynthesis, and we know that carbon dioxide is fixed in photosynthesis, and when there is less photosynthesis activity due to the shedding of the leaves or due to the poor growth of the plant leaves, so the carbon dioxide is on the rise. However, in late summer, when there is full bloom, there is full growth of plant leaves, the photosynthesis process is at maximum, and we know that photosynthesis captures this atmospheric carbon dioxide, and in the presence of sunlight and moisture converts into the organic products and oxygen. So when there is maximum combustion consumption by photosynthesis, there is a decrease or dip in the concentration of the carbon dioxide. So this was all about today's lecture. I hope you have well understood this lecture, but if still you have confusion in your mind, let me know in the comment section. I will respond to your queries as soon as possible. The remaining discussion of the gases will be in the next part or next lecture series. Okay, thank you. Allah Hafiz.